What's good, everyone? It's tattoo time for me again, so come along for the ride as we have a look at the spot I'm getting tattooed, the design that's going to go there, the attempts that I had, as well as the final design the tattoo artist came up with. I'm excited. Let's jump straight in. All right, so the tattoo is actually going to go on this leg here, and it's going to go in this spot. It's on the foot here, and this leg has been a really long work in progress, all done by the fabulous artist ag.tattoos. Check out his socials on the screen here now. But this is the spot we're going to be working on today, as well as, if I can flip over, this spot here, there's a little gap here. All right, I've got my trusty iPad. So if we have a look in Procreate and we open up the layers, I've got the outside of the foot, a photo taken of that. I've also got the inside of the foot ready to go. Now from here, I like to create layers directly over the top of that. As you can see here, I've drawn in the word death. I've kind of worked in with this spot here, and I'm really liking this flow. They're really choppy, almost spray painty letters. I love this look. I think it's going to work really well on the inside of the foot here. And on this side, I've gone with an X marks the spot sort of a theme. I've used the same sort of brush strokes that we did on my face here. So that's what I have so far. And it was super easy when I didn't want to send these off to the tattoo artist to get his input or for him to just have them to work on. I was able to go in, turn off all of my other layers, make sure I kept on the one that I wanted to send to him. And then I could go to my actions tab, tap on share, and then I just share it as a JPEG. But for now, let's wrap things up in Procreate, and I'm going to talk to you about prepping the area and getting ready for the tattoo. So when we're getting ready for our tattoo, there are a few things we want to keep in mind. The first and foremost is we want to prep the area and get it ready for the tattoo artist. So we're going to make sure we shave the area, get rid of all the hair around it. This is going to make life so much easier when you get out there and just save you more time when you're in the chair. Make sure when you are shaving the hair, try and go with the hair and try not to go against the hair too much. We don't really want to start getting any redness or irritation there on the skin. Take your time, especially if you're going around corners or bones, get it nice and dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. I'm going to head off and do that now. I'll catch you back here in a minute. I get a lot of questions from a lot of people about numbing cream, so I thought today would be a good opportunity to talk about it a bit more. I'll go ahead and use some today, talk about how I use it and the best ways to use it, and I'll talk about some of the effects and results as well. ag.tattoos, my tattoo artist, he's recently started stocking a newer numbing cream. It's this one here, Dead Inside. This stuff is meant to be one of the best numbing creams on the market. I have used it once before, so we're going to be using this. I'll talk about this in just a minute. But after the tattoo, we are going to be using Dermalize as well. This stuff is amazing. It's breathable, it's waterproof, and it's flexible. It's a protective tattoo film. The concept of this was designed decades ago in hospitals. Essentially, they would put this over the top of burns, and it would essentially trick the body into thinking there was some form of like a layer or a scab on the top of the burn already, and it would promote the blood flow to that area and allow it to heal a lot faster. I've used this stuff a lot with a lot of my tattoos, and I absolutely love it, but this goes on after the tattoo. I'm going to jump off, get a few things ready, make sure I have my whole kit together. I'll talk to you about what I take out to each tattoo, and then we'll head on out to the studio. This video is sponsored by Fuel and Fire Studios. Fuel and Fire are a Brisbane-based fine art, print house and creative studio. Trusted by artists and brands worldwide. Use the code ROCKETDESIGN at checkout for 10% off your order. All right, it's about an hour and a half to go until the tattoo. Now at this point, if you do want to use numbing cream, now's the time to go ahead and start to apply it. Between now and about an hour before, but don't want to leave it any later than that. We need at least an hour of it on the skin, and then we're going to go ahead and put cling wrap over the top as well. The cling wrap is really going to help trap a lot of the heat in there, really activate this. Now the thing to note about numbing cream as well is we want to lather it on the skin. We want it visible. Don't worry too much about rubbing it into the pores. We want it to sit on top of the skin. That's where the numbing is going to happen. And then we're going to cover that with some Glad wrap. I'm going to go do that now to make sure that there's enough time for this really to take effect, and then we'll jump on to the next step. All right, we're back. I've got it on my foot. I also decided to put a sock over the top as well. So I've got a really generous amount of the numbing cream, and then I've Glad wrapped that really generously as well. Not super tight, just enough to cover the area. And then I've also put a sock over the top. All right, we're going to leave that on the foot. I'm going to leave it until I get out there to the studio, and then we'll take it off when I'm in the studio ready to go. And depending on what we do or don't do, we may even use some during the tattoo as well when we switch sides. I'm not too sure. But again, the whole point of this is to give you tips to see if you want to do this in the future or not. And it really is fine to use numbing cream. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Just please make sure you tell your tattoo artist that you want to use it. They better give you good advice on which ones to use. And the best thing is that they actually know you're using it, because it does change the way the skin reacts a little bit. Let's have a look at what I'm going to take to the studio with me today. And I think one of the biggest things people forget, and something I'm a massive advocate for, is water. We have to have water. We have to be hydrated. Also, I'm going to bring my Dermalyze. I think that's very, very important. But on the way, I'm also going to stop. I'm going to pick up some lollies. I think it's nice to have something to snack on to keep those blood sugars up as we're getting tattooed. I'm going to bring all my camera gear because obviously I want to film this. I want to bring you along for the ride. I also always have deodorant and some sort of cologne on me. At the moment, I wear Black Orchid by Tom Ford. No one likes a stinky client, so I always make sure I'm doing the bare minimum and smelling at least somewhat presentable. I'm going to bring all of this along in my bag, and I'm also going to bring my iPad with me as well. But apart from that, everything's in my bag. We're ready to go. I'm going to jump in the car. Come along with me. We're going to get out to the studio, see what the final design is, get that on the skin, and we're going to get some tattoo action happening. All right, let's hit it. All right, just stopped off along the way to the tattoo studio. Apologies about the road at the moment. There's a lot of cars going past me. I parked on the side of the road. Probably not the best idea, but hey, we're here now. We've got some killer pythons, some Gatorade, definitely need this. The closer we get to the session, the foot is feeling number and number, which is great. You're not really going to know until you get that wrapping off to see exactly what level of numbness you've got. But from what I can tell at the moment, it's going to be pretty good. So I'm excited. We've got everything we need here in terms of supplies. We're going to head out there and we'll go from there. I'll see you in the studio. All right, studio time. Here we are. Aaron is finishing up the touches on the designs. He's tweaked them a little bit and now he's hand stenciling them, and I absolutely love them. As you can see, we only needed 2 sizes in the end. We went with the bigger ones because they were perfect. They're the ones he worked off from the iPad. Now it's time to see how the numbing went, and I'll be very honest with you, we didn't have much success with this. The tube that I was using had already been opened, and I think the numbing cream had not been effective. So what we did was we applied some more to the outside of the foot, which we were going to work on second, and then we went back to the inside of the foot. So while we were tattooing that, the outside was having a chance to numb. Please keep this in mind if you are going to use numbing cream in the future. A lot of that cream, once opened, has a chance of going off or not being as effective. So when we were tattooing the inside of this foot, I felt absolutely everything. It was not the most fun I've ever had, but hey, that's a tattoo, and the whole point of this is to talk you through the process if you do want to use this in the future. Working on the outline at the moment, the foot is looking really good. We spent about 15 minutes on placement for both sides of the feet, and then the outline for the inside of the foot we spent about 40 minutes on in total. After a nice wipe down, we put some numbing cream on the inside of the foot, and then the glider up over the top to try and keep some of the heat in, as well as not making a complete mess. And then we flipped around to the outside of the foot. Another little bit of time spent actually placing this tattoo, but he nailed it first go, and then we jumped straight in. Because we did have the numbing cream back on the outside of this foot for around 45 minutes, this actually was quite effective when it came to numbing. And once that side was complete, we flipped back around and then did all the fill for the script on the inside of my foot. And at this point, the numbing cream had a chance to kick in again, and it was much better this time around. And that was it. These are the new additions. I'm super happy with them. My designs mixed with Aaron's ended up in a really cool piece in the end. So that's going to wrap up the tattoo session. It's currently the next day. I was going to film this last night, but I was pretty wiped from the tattoo itself. In the end, I actually forgot to bring the Dermalyze with me. I had it in my bag, but for some reason, it was not in my bag when I got there. So what I did is when we left the studio, we wrapped it up in Glad Wrap to make sure we maintained its state. And then when I got home, I let it air out, wiped it down for about 5 minutes, and then I applied that Dermalyze. And what I did was I cut strips and I made sure I left about a 2 centimeter gap, 1 to 2 centimeter gap around the edge of that tattoo. So where the tattoo finished to where the Dermalyze finished, you really want to have about a 1 to 2 centimeter barrier. But I've got it on currently, and it's definitely helping minimize swelling, and I'm able to walk around pretty sufficiently with it. So overall, I think it was a good idea. Whether you're using Dermalyze or any tattoo aftercare film, make sure that if the tattoo does get really red, we want to get that off. We don't want any irritation happening in there. but I'll be leaving this on for about 3 days. I really don't like to go any longer with it. I do like to get it off and let the air get to it, really help it heal naturally. But I think for that first 3 days, it really is a good idea. Obviously, follow what your tattoo artist says, but make sure if the tattoo does start to get really, really red and is not looking so great, we get that skin or dermalizer, whatever you're using, off and let it heal naturally. And there we have it. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. You've seen us go from initial concept to design, out to the studio. We've got the tattoo. It's feeling very sore, but it's looking really, really great. Make sure you use any of these tips I've given you today if you are going to be moving forward with any tattoos in the future. If you did enjoy the video today, make sure you subscribe down below. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me continue to do what I love to do each and every week and bring you these videos. If you'd like to see more of these tattoo style videos in the future, let me know down in the comments below. But until the next video, I'll catch you then.